Ladies and gentlemen, what if everything you've been told about success and happiness is backwards? What if the real secret isn't about doing more, but about focusing on less, starting with yourself? The Shaolin monks knew this centuries ago, and today their lessons can change your life. We live in a world that never stops pushing us. More work, more noise, more opinions. But the Shaolin monks strived in silence, discipline, and most importantly, focus on themselves. Not in a selfish way, but in a way that builds unshakable strength. Here are 10 lessons to help you do the same. Your attention is your greatest weapon. The world is a battlefield, but not in the way most people think. The real fight isn't with others, it's with yourself. Every moment you are under siege, not by swords or arrows, but by distractions, noise, and endless demands for your focus. The moment you wake up, your phone buzzes. The news screams for your attention. Social media pulls you into debates that don't matter. People around you drain your energy with complaints, gossip, and problems they refuse to solve. And the worst part, you let them. You surrender your most precious resource without even realizing it. Your attention is not just a tool. It is your life force. Where you place it determines what grows. If you focus on negativity, your mind becomes a breeding ground for frustration. If you fixate on things you cannot control, you feed helplessness. But if you direct it with discipline, you cultivate strength. This is not philosophy, it is the law of nature. A farmer does not scatter seeds randomly and expect a harvest. He plants with intention, he removes weeds, he protects his crop. You must do the same with your mind. Think of a warrior in ancient times. Before battle, he does one-person health creative AI-powered meals and activity tracker track meals and activities with voice photos. AI analyzes your data, get personalized recommendations that actually work. Man, try for free sponsored, not waste energy on meaningless chatter. He does not obsess over the enemy's movements. He trains, he sharpens his blade, he prepares. In the same way, every morning you must ask yourself, what deserves my focus today? Not what the world throws at you, but what you choose to engage with. Because distraction is not just a minor inconvenience, it is death by 1,000 cuts. Each time you let your mind wander into useless arguments, each time you scroll mindlessly, each time you react to every little irritation, you bleed power. The great masters of old understood this. They did not fill their days with idle talk. They did not waste hours on things that did not serve their growth. They knew that energy spent on gossip, complaints, or envy was energy stolen from their true path, and so they guarded their attention fiercely. They trained their minds like muscles, cutting away weakness, reinforcing discipline. You must do the same. Start small. When you feel the pull of distraction, pause. Ask, does this deserve my energy? If the answer is no, walk away. If someone tries to drag you into negativity, disengage. Your silence is not weakness, it is control. Over time, this becomes instinct. You will stop reacting to every little thing. You will stop giving away your focus so easily. And in that space, real growth happens. Because here is the truth. The world will always try to take from you your time, your energy, your peace. But no one can take what you do not give. Your attention is yours alone. Wield it wisely. The mirror rule. Fix yourself before judging others. There is a sickness in the modern world, an obsession with judging others while ignoring the self. People spend hours criticizing leaders, neighbors, co-workers, even strangers online. They point fingers, assign blame, and dissect every flaw in others while their own lives remain unchanged. This is not wisdom, it is avoidance. A man who stands before a shattered mirror and tries to fix the reflection will never succeed because the problem is not the image, it is the glass. The ancient way is different. Before speaking of others, a wise man looks inward. He examines his own actions, his own mistakes, his own weaknesses. He does this not out of self-hatred, but out of respect for growth, because he knows you cannot change what you do not acknowledge. A tree that refuses to grow roots will topple at the first storm. A warrior who never sharpens his blade will fail when battle comes. And a person who never confronts their own flaws will remain trapped in cycles of blame and stagnation. This is not easy. It is far simpler to point out another's mistakes than to face your own. Pride resists. Ego defends. The mind creates excuses. I'm not that bad. At least I'm not like them. They started it, but these are illusions. Every moment spent judging others is a moment stolen from self-improvement. Every criticism you throw outward is a lesson you refuse to learn yourself. Imagine a monk at mealtime. He does not look at his brother's bowl to see if the portions are equal. He focuses on his own, not out of selfishness, but out of understanding. His path is his responsibility. His growth depends on his own actions, not comparisons. This is the mirror rule. Before you speak of another's faults, ask, have I conquered this within myself? Before you demand change from others, ask, am I living this change? Because the world does not need more critics. It needs more people who lead by example. If you want better leaders, become better. If you want kinder people, practice kindness. If you demand honesty, be honest first. This is how real change happens, not by forcing others to change, but by transforming yourself so completely that others have no choice but to rise to meet you. Start today. The next time you feel the urge to judge, pause, turn the mirror on yourself. Ask, where am I falling short? Then get to work, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient now. Because the only life you can change is your own. And when you do, the world around you shifts in ways you never thought possible. Silence is a shield. Most people believe that power lies in speaking, in having the last word, in proving a point, in being heard above the noise. But true strength is not in how much you say, but in how much you don't. Silence is not emptiness. It is not weakness. It is not weak. It is a fortress, a shield, a blade that cuts deeper than any argument. The masters of old knew this. They understood that words once released cannot be taken back. Like water poured onto sand, they seep into the cracks of relationships, of reputations, of minds, and they stay there. Think of the last time you spoke in anger, the last time you reacted without thinking, the last time you let frustration or pride dictate your words. What did it cost you? A friendship, respect, peace? Now think of the times you held your tongue, the times you let an insult pass without response, the times you chose not to engage in gossip, not to correct someone just to prove yourself right. How much energy did you save? How much unnecessary conflict did you avoid? The world is loud. Everyone is shouting, competing for attention, desperate to be heard, but noise does not equal wisdom. A storm is loud, but it destroys. The deepest rivers move in silence. The tallest trees do not announce their growth. They simply stand. This is the way of the warrior, not to react, but to observe. Not to fill every space with words, but to use them only when they carry weight. Most conflicts are not battles of truth, but battles of ego. Someone says something careless, you feel the need to correct them. Someone challenges you, you feel the need to defend. Someone insults you, you feel the need to retaliate. But ask yourself, what do you gain? A temporary victory, a fleeting sense of superiority. At what cost? Every unnecessary word is energy waste. Every reaction to nonsense is attention stolen from what truly matters. The disciplined mind does not fall into these traps. It watches, it listens, it discerns. And when the moment calls for speech, it strikes with precision, not with emotion, but with purpose. This is not suppression. It is control, the difference between a wild river and a directed stream. One floods and destroys, the other nourishes. Practice it. The next time someone tries to provoke you, say nothing. The next time you feel the urge to correct, to argue, to explain yourself unnecessarily, pause. Let silence do the work. You will find that most battles are not worth fighting. Most words are not worth speaking. And in that quiet space, you reclaim power. Because when you do choose to speak, people will listen. Train your body to train your mind. The modern world has made a fatal mistake. It has separated the mind from the body. People sit for hours staring at screens, thinking, analyzing, consuming information while their bodies grow weak. They believe wisdom comes from books alone, that strength is only mental. But this is an illusion. The body is not just a vessel. It is the foundation of the mind. A weak body breeds a weak will. A sluggish body feeds a sluggish spirit. The ancient warriors knew this. They did not spend their days in endless debate or passive meditation. They moved, they trained, they pushed their physical limits. Not just for combat, but for clarity. Because the body and mind are not two things, they are one. When you strengthen the body, you discipline the mind. When you master movement, you master thought. Think of the last time you were truly exhausted. Not just tired, but physically spent. After a long run, a hard workout, a day of labor, how did your mind feel? Clearer, wasn't it? The distractions faded. The unnecessary thoughts vanished. There was only the moment, only the breath, only the next step. This is no accident. Movement strips away illusion. It forces presence. It teaches endurance, not just in the muscles, but in the spirit. Yet, most people resist this. They claim they don't have time. They say they are not athletes. They convince themselves that thinking is enough, but the body does not lie. If you neglect it, it will betray you. Laziness becomes habit. Weakness becomes mindset. And soon you'll find yourself unable to endure discomfort, unable to push through challenges, unable to sit with discipline even in mental tasks. Because the body has not been taught to obey, you do not need to be a warrior. You do not need to train for battle. But you must move every day, not as punishment, not as obligation, but as ritual. Run, lift, stretch, fight, whatever calls to you. But do something that demands effort, something that makes you sweat, something that reminds you that you are alive. Because here is the truth. The mind will always seek the easy path. It will rationalize laziness. It will invent excuses. But the body, when trained, does not negotiate. It acts, and in that action, the mind learns discipline. You will find focus sharper after movement. You will find willpower stronger after exertion. You will find that the obstacles in your life seem smaller because you have proven to yourself again and again that you can push through. Start today, not tomorrow, not when it's convenient. Now the body does not care about your plans, only your actions. Train it and the mind will follow. Let go of what you can't control. There is a madness in the way most people live, a constant struggle against forces they cannot change, the weather, traffic, other people's opinions, the path they exhaust themselves, fighting what will never yield. Like waves crashing against cliffs, wearing themselves down to nothing. And for what? The illusion of control, the fleeting satisfaction of resistance. This is not strength, it is stubbornness. A true warrior knows the difference between what can be conquered and what must be accepted. Imagine a monk preparing for his morning training. He wakes before dawn, steps outside, and finds the sky pouring rain. Does he shake his fist at the clouds? Does he curse the gods for ruining his plan? No, he adapts. He trains indoors. Or he embraces the rain and lets it become part of his practice because he understands something most never will. Fighting reality is the quickest way to lose. The modern world thrives on this illusion of control. People rage against delayed flights as if their anger will bend time. They obsess over politics they cannot change. Gossip that does not concern them. Outcomes they cannot influence. Every moment spent resisting the unchangeable is a moment stolen from what could actually be transformed. To sell this is not passivity, it is not surrender, it is strategy. A general does not waste troops on unwinnable battles. A farmer does not scream at the seasons. They assess, adjust, and direct their energy where it matters. You must do the same. Ask yourself, what are you clinging to that you cannot control? A past mistake, someone else's choices, the way things should be. Now ask, what has this resistance given you? Has it changed anything, or has it only drained you? The truth is simple. What you do not accept will consume you. What you release no longer holds power over you. This is the path of wisdom. When the storm comes, you do not break, you bend. When the path is blocked, you do not collapse, you find another way, because real strength is not in never falling. It is in knowing which falls are inevitable and choosing not to wrestle with gravity, the three-question filter for decisions. Most people spend their lives cleaning up messes they didn't have to make, failed relationships, wasted time, unnecessary battles, and the root is always the same. They acted without thinking. They followed impulse, emotion, or worse, the crowd. But the wise do not move blindly. They pause, they measure, they ask the questions most never consider. There are three simple but lethal in their power to cut through confusion. First, does this help me grow? Not just in skill but in character, not just in wealth but in wisdom. Most choices are distractions disguised as opportunities. They promise pleasure, validation, or escape but leave you weaker. The filter is ruthless. If the answer is no, you walk away. No negotiation. Second, does it harm others? Not in the fragile way of modern morality where everyone is afraid to offend, but in the real, undeniable sense. True strength does not require cruelty. True success does not demand exploitation. If your gain comes from another's loss, it is not gain. It is theft. And theft always collects interest. Third, is it under my control? This is where most fail. They chase results they cannot guarantee. They invest in outcomes dependent on luck, on others, on forces beyond their command. The warrior knows better. He focuses only on what he can own, his effort, his discipline, his choices. The rest is noise. Apply these questions now to your next decision, to your next word, to your next yes or no. You will find most of what tempts you is worthless. Most of what you fear is irrelevant. And the few things that remain, those are where your power lies. This is not complexity. It is clarity. And clarity is the rarest weapon of all. Pain is the teacher you didn't ask for. Every cell in the human body screams to avoid pain. It's wired into us. The flinch from fire, the recoil from a sharp edge, the instinct to protect ourselves from harm. But there is another kind of pain, one that modern society has trained people to flee from like a plague. The pain of effort, the discomfort of growth, the soreness that comes from pushing beyond what's easy. People take pills to numb it, distractions to avoid it, shortcuts to bypass it, and in doing so, they rob themselves of the one thing that could actually make them stronger. The ancient warriors did not have this luxury. When a student's muscles burned from holding a stance, there was no complaint. When the body ouched from relentless training, there was no surrender. They understood something fundamental. Pain is not the enemy, it is the signal. The raw, unfiltered indication that you are touching the edges of your current limits. And limits are not walls, they are horizons. You move toward them and they expand. Think of a blade being forged. The steel does not become strong because it is left alone. It is heated, hammered, folded, and plunged into cold water. It suffers, and in that suffering it becomes unbreakable. The human spirit is no different. Comfort does not forge discipline. Ease does not build resilience. The moments that define you are not the ones where everything goes right. They are the ones where everything feels like it's going wrong and you keep moving anyway. Yet most people live in a state of constant retreat from discomfort. They choose the soft chair over the hard floor, the elevator over the stairs, the mindless scroll over the focused effort. They mistake convenience for living. But life does not reward comfort. It rewards strength, and strength only comes through resistance. This is not about glorifying suffering for its own sake. It is about recognizing that the things worth having, mastery, resilience, real confidence, are never found on the easy path. They are earned in the space between I can't and I. So the next time your body protests during a workout, or your mind rebels against deep work, or your emotions scream to quit, pause. Do not run. Listen, that pain is not your opponent. It is the strictest, most honest teacher you will ever have. And its lessons are the ones that last surroundings over willpower. There is a myth that discipline is purely internal, that if you are strong enough, you can focus anywhere, resist any temptation, overcome any environment. This is a lie. The strongest mind in the world will eventually buckle under constant distraction. The most disciplined person will falter if every sight, sound, and space pulls them away from what matters. The masters knew this. They did not rely on sheer will to maintain their practice. No. They designed their entire world to support it. The monastery was not an accident. It was a weapon. The silence, the simplicity, the absence of clutter, all of it served a single purpose: to remove resistance so the mind could move without friction. Modern life is the opposite. Homes filled with unused objects, phones buzzing with endless notification, workspaces cluttered with distractions disguised as tools. People wonder why they struggle to focus, why they feel drained, why their best intentions crumble by midday. The answer is not some personal failing. It is their environment slowly eroding their will like water on stone. You do not need a monastery, but you do need to take control of what surrounds you. Every object in your space is a demand for attention. Every notification is an interruption. Every unfinished task left in view is a silent drain on your focus. These things are not passive, they are active forces working against you. Start small, clear the surfaces, remove what you do not use, silence what does not serve you, create zones for specific purposes. Rest. A place for work that is only for work. A space for rest that is only for rest. The mind takes cues from what surrounds it. Chaos in your environment becomes chaos in your thoughts. Order outside fosters order within. This is not about minimalism for its own sake. It is about creating conditions where discipline is not a constant battle, where focus is not something you have to claw back from distraction, but your natural state. Because here is the truth: willpower is finite, environment is constant. Stop fighting against a world designed to break your concentration. Build one designed to protect it. the art of saying no without guilt. The modern world runs on one poisonous assumption that your time, energy, and attention are public property, that you must be available, agreeable, endlessly accommodating, that no is rude, selfish, unacceptable. This is not just wrong, it is dangerous. Every yes you give to something unimportant is a no to what truly matters. Every obligation you accept out of guilt is a theft from your own purpose. The masters of old did not live this way. Their time was not for sale. Their focus was not negotiable. They understood that to say yes to the right things, you must say no clearly, without apology to everything else. This was not cruelty. It was respect for their craft, for their energy, for the limited days given to every human life. Yet most people cannot do this. They say yes to parties. They don't want to attend projects. They don't believe in favors that drain them dry. Why? Because they fear disapproval. They confuse busyness with worth. They have been trained to believe that setting boundaries is arrogance, that protecting their time is selfishness. This is the trap. Here is the truth. You are not a community resource. You are not an emergency fund for other people's poor planning. Your life is not a democracy where everyone gets a vote on how you spend your day. Every time you betray your own priorities to please someone else, you erode your integrity slowly. Then all at once you wake up and find you have built a life of obligations to everyone except yourself. The solution is simple but not easy. Learn to say no without explanation, without guilt, without the need to be liked, not with anger but with calm certainty. That doesn't work for me. I won't be able to commit to that. No elaborate excuses, no negotiation. If pressed, silence is your shield. Let the discomfort sit with them, not you. Will some people be disappointed? Yes. Will some call you selfish? Absolute. But ask yourself, are these the opinions of people living remarkable lives? Or are they the chatter of those who want to use you as a stepping stone for their own convenience? Guard your time like the irreplaceable currency. Every no is a yes to something greater. Your craft, your peace, your purpose, that is not selfishness. That is survival. Mastery is a daily ritual. We live in the age of the shortcut, the 6-week transformation, the overnight success, the hack, the cheat, the secret loophole to greatness. This is fantasy. Real mastery does not come in bursts of inspiration. It does not respond to whims or moods. It is built in the unglamorous space of daily showing up, especially when you don't want to. The ancient warriors knew this. They did not train when they felt motivated. They trained because training was what they did. As regular as sunrise, as inevitable as rain or shine, tired or fresh, inspired or dull, they practiced not until they were perfect, but because the practice itself was the point. Skill was simply the byproduct of this relentless repetition. Modern minds misunderstand this. They wait for motivation like it's a bus that will eventually arrive. They skip days because they don't feel it. They abandon skills when progress slow. This is why most people plateau mediocrity. They rely on feelings to dictate action rather than action to dictate reality. True discipline is not a force you summon in grand moments. It is a habit you cultivate in small daily ones. It is the writer writing when the words won't come. The musician playing scales when they'd rather be performing. The artist sketching when no one is watching. These are the moments that separate the real from the pretend. Motivation is fickle. It comes and goes like weather. Discipline is the bedrock. It is the decision that some things are not optional. They are simply what you do. Who you are on days when every fiber of your being resists. That is when the work matters most. That is when you forge the neural pathways of mastery. Forget inspiration. Forget perfect condition. The only ritual that matters is this. Show up. Do the work. Repeat. Mastery is not an event. It is a lifestyle, and it belongs only to those willing to live it day after day after day after day. Focusing on yourself isn't about ignoring the work. It's about building the strength to engage with it on your terms. Start with one lesson, then another. The path is simple but not easy, and that's the point. Forget inspiration. Forget waiting for the perfect condition, the perfect mood, or the perfect time. The truth is those moments rarely come. If you wait for them, you'll be waiting forever. The only ritual that matters, the only formula that truly works is simple. Show up, do the work, and repeat. Day after day, again and again. That is where mastery is born, not in some flash of brilliance or a single breakthrough, but in the quiet, consistent, often unseen practice of showing up even when you don't feel like it. Mastery is not an event. It is not a finish. It is not something you stumble into by accident or something gifted only to the lucky few. Mastery is a lifestyle, and it belongs only to those who choose to live it. Day after day after day after day, it demands consistency. It requires discipline. It calls you to rise above your excuses and train your focus on the long-term vision rather than the short-term discomfort. The world often celebrates the highlight reel, the medals, the promotions, the big wins. But what truly shapes those moments is the countless hours of showing up when nobody's watching. Focusing on yourself isn't about ignoring the world around you. It's not selfishness, it's strategy. It's about building the strength, clarity, and resilience you need so that when you step into the world, you can engage with it on your own terms. You become harder to shake, less dependent on outside approval, and more aligned with your values. When you invest in yourself through the discipline of daily effort, you're not withdrawing from life, you're preparing yourself to meet it with greater courage and effectiveness. The path is simple, but it is not easy. That's the beauty of it. Simplicity does not mean comfort, it means clarity. You know exactly what needs to be done. One lesson, then another. One workout, then another. One page written, then another. It's not about perfection, it's about progression. It's not about winning the day in some dramatic fashion. It's about not quitting when it feels ordinary, boring, or hard. That persistence is what transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel confident. But if you can cultivate the habit of showing up, if you can commit to the discipline of doing the work, no matter how small, then you are already ahead of most people. Each repetition compounds, each effort stacks on the one before it, and over time you become someone stronger, sharper, more capable. That's the point. It's supposed to challenge you, it's supposed to stretch you. So forget the illusion of perfect conditions. Forget waiting for the right time. Your growth is built in the mess of ordinary days. Show up, do the work, repeat, and watch as that simple commitment reshapes not just your skills, but your entire life.